So if I wanted to make an extra $500 a day, just working 4 hours a day for 5 days a week, so about 20 hours a week, this is exactly what I would do. And ultimately, right, this is about 80 hours a month to make about $10,000 in the whole month, $120,000 a year. Now, this is also while I'd be able to work from anywhere in the world. Currently, we're seeing my girlfriend and her family out here in Brazil. I would do this if I was working out in, Austin, Texas, which is where I'm normally at. Would be if I'm traveling, whether that's to Miami, where I should be going out, to Toronto here pretty shortly as well. My girlfriend got accepted into a school out there, so she's going to be going out to school in Toronto for a few years. And this is the exact business model that I would use to make $500 a day, working 4 hours, a day anywhere that I want, right? Now, just so you have some context, my name is Kekoa MacAuley, CEO, founder of the Modern SDR. We actually have just over, 1,600 or 1,700 students inside of our, platform, our ecosystem now, all learning the skill set of remote triaging and online sales. Now, you might be wondering, Kekoa, how did you even stumble into this opportunity where you can work 4 hours a day and, make upwards of $250, $500, even $1,000 a day? Well, it all goes back to about 5 years ago when I first started my social media marketing agency, right? For the longest time, I had actually had a YouTube channel. I actually had a gaming channel, grew that to about 40,000 subscribers at its peak. And I did that for about 3 years while I was going to school at Vanderbilt University. So I was out in Nashville, Tennessee, right? Really enjoyed YouTube, but at some point I got really bored of playing video games, right? I actually had a video game channel and I got really bored of creating videos. So I ultimately stopped. That kind of fizzled out. I honestly wish I kept going there, but through this whole process, I realized what I loved, and that was numbers, right? I really fell in love with numbers, the process of making viral content, producing videos, seeing the results, right? Seeing the outcomes of, if I research a topic, whatever it may have been, right? Now, in 2018, 2019, when crypto started really taking off, I actually started another YouTube channel, right, which is about crypto. I started, making videos about that, researched, got really big into, SEO, finding trending topics, everything like that. And I really fell in love with the crypto side of things. Now, crypto, there's a lot of ups and downs, right? But the thing that wasn't up and down was my marketing services. And in about 2020, 2021, when crypto really started to boom, that's when my marketing agency took off, right? I started selling cryptocurrency marketing services. I started selling, these like Instagram growth giveaways. I did all this stuff in the Instagram marketing space. But the one skill that stuck out to me this whole time, right? I made just over probably about $500 or so $1,000 in net profit. I used a lot of that to travel and invest in masterminds, coaching programs, things like that. But I made about $500,000 in net profit there, and that was great. But what was the one skill that really stuck with me, right? Well, after I shut my marketing agency down, we capped out about $200,000 a month. I think I was making like $40,000 to $50,000 profit that month. But the one skill that stuck out to me was sales, right? That was remote triaging. And what I realized is that if I could just sell digital products, courses, marketing services, anything like this online, I was going to be able to make money for pretty much my entire life. I was always going to be set. And it was because of this one skill set of remote triaging online sales that I was able to have the success that, I had. And that's ultimately what stemmed into the Modern SDR, sales training program that we launched about a year and a half ago. Now, how did this skill set work, right? How was I able to take people that were complete strangers that didn't know about me to actually converting them into a paying customer where they were either paying, now we have $1 to $7 products, but at the time, right, up to $27,000 products. I literally had customers paying me $27,000, every 2 to 3 weeks, right, just for these services that I was selling. But it wasn't just, hey, it was a great service. It was like, what was the emotional intelligence that I had when I was speaking with people? How did I understand their problems? How did I understand their pain points, what they were struggling with, right? And that's ultimately what sales comes down to. It comes down to the emotional intelligence you have, right? The frameworks you use on particular, phone calls or sales calls, right? And how you actually activate, right, the 7 core buying triggers, the 7 core buying beliefs, which is something that we actually talk about inside the Modern SDR program more in depth, right? But it's how do you actually activate those and take someone from, hey, this is our current situation, to this is where I want to go. And how do we bridge that gap? How do we figure out, right? This is where you are now. This is where you want to be. My product and service can actually take you from getting here to here, right? And the cost, the sacrifice that you're making, which is the price you're paying, right, is way less than the actual outcome that you're able to get, right? And that's ultimately what I was able to learn through this whole time period, right, with my marketing agency. So how did that really even come about? Well, at the time, the biggest thing for these cryptocurrency projects, right, these big, businesses that I was actually doing marketing for, what was the main pain point that they had? Well, they didn't have enough leads and they didn't have enough, buyers or participators in their NFT projects or their cryptocurrency projects, right? So that was their pain. Now, where did they want to go? Well, they wanted to, actually be able to sell more of their products. They wanted to be able to provide their service to as many people as possible, right? And that was their dream destination. Now, what did I aim to fill? What was my bridge to this gap? Well, it was my marketing services, which is lead generation, right? So at the time, we were able to send tons of messages via email, via Twitter, via Facebook, via Instagram, and we were able to send tons of these messages, like hundreds of millions of messages promoting their products or services, right? So what I would do is I would be able to reach out to these, marketing agencies, these businesses, right? And be like, hey, I saw you were struggling, right, with XYZ, product, service, selling out your crypto project, right? This is where I believe you want to go. Is that true, right? And I would get a buy-in on, yes, this was true. This was in fact true that I wanted, right? These businesses wanted to get to this dream destination, right? Now, what was the product or service that I was able to provide? Well, it was lead generation. Hey, this is the lead generation service that you need to ultimately get out of this pain that you're feeling, right, into this desired situation. So once I was able to present that in an effective way, right, I was able to follow a simple 3-step process to actually show them, this is how I'm going to take you from where you are now to where you want to be, right? They were so inclined to purchase that product to take them out of this pain and get them into their desired situation, right? And because of that, I was able to sell millions of dollars online, right, before the age, this was when I was 21, 22, right, and have incredible success. It wasn't because I had an amazing service. Sure, that was great. But it was ultimately because I was able to fully understand where my prospect was, where they wanted to go, right? And how my service, my product or service could actually take them from where they wanted to be, right? Where they wanted to go, from where they are now. I took them from here to here, right? It was that simple. Now, how can you actually start in this industry as well, right? How can you actually start having success just like myself using the skill set of remote triaging and online sales? Well, there's really only 3 steps to do this. Now, the first step is you actually want to find, right, a business owner or an online influencer that has some sort of high ticket product, right? Ideally, they're able to sell this digitally, right, over the phone. It's able to be fulfilled, right, completely remote, because ultimately, right, that's why I'm able to live in all these different places around the world, right? It's because I'm not doing any of this, in-person sales like car sales or, door-to-door, cold calling, all of this like boring stuff, right? I'm able to actually work from wherever I want, right? And it's because I'm actually selling a digital product or service. So step number 1 is find a big influencer, on social media, maybe that's on Instagram. Let's say they have at least 50 to 100,000 followers, right? Even 10,000 followers and up is honestly pretty good, right? But once you find that influencer, you just want to make sure that they actually sell a high ticket digital product, right? And that's something worth $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000. Now, the great thing about this industry, right, is that on average, you're generally getting 10 to 20% of the sale, right? So if you're selling a $5,000 product, right, even $10,000 product, 10% of that's $500 to $1,000 just for taking a phone call, right? And it doesn't matter if that phone call takes you 10 hours, right? Or it takes you 30 minutes. Once you make the phone call, you make the sale, you're able to take home cold hard commissions, and you're able to spend time with your family, your loved ones, your friends, right? And you're able to have the freedom that we're all meant to live, right? It's no longer having to clock in for 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, right, at a job you hate. It's just being able to use one skill set, tap into this, work from wherever you want in the world, right? And live with, time, financial, and location freedom. Now, what is step number 2? Well, obviously you have to master this skill of remote triaging, but you actually want to start taking these phone calls, these Zoom calls for these businesses, right? And there's a very simple 3-step process. You can actually check out some of the other videos on my channel. At some point I should have like a full like free, I think it's like 2-hour free training course on exactly how to get started with this, right? But there's generally going to be 3 roles within this industry that you're actually using to take prospects that, you know, may be interested in this influencer or business owner's product or service, right? And there's gonna be 3 roles that you're actually using to ultimately take them from not knowing you guys that well to actually converting them into a sale, right? And it's gonna be DM setting. So it's gonna be sending messages like on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, right? That might be triage setting, right? Which is actually setting phone calls over the phone. Generally, these are 10 to 15 minute phone calls that you don't even have to like close the deal, right? Commission structures are a little bit lower for this, but you're actually just setting up phone calls for the, you know, closer or like the head advisor, head enrollment directors, right, that are actually enrolling these people and ultimately getting paid the big bucks, right? And then of course there's that high ticket closer. There's that, you know, head enrollment advisor where you might be making that 10 to 20% commission on every sale. And that's ultimately where the real money is made. And that's what, you know, you would ultimately want to get up to after tons of practice and, you know, really just honing in on your skill sets and emotional intelligence. Now, what is step number 3? Well, step number 3 is once you find a business, you're working with them, you learn the skill set of remote triaging online sales, you plug your skill sets into the business and you start actually selling digital products for them, right? Is that you just want to take 4 to 5 phone calls a day. And if you remember, right, I'm showing you guys exactly how, hey, use these 4 hours of your day to make $500 a day. Well, if you sell one product for, let's say $5,000, you make 10% commission, that's $500 as a sale. That means you just have to close 1 out of every 4 deals every single day, and you're making $500 in cold hard commissions. That's just the math, right? So ultimately, step number 3 is just repeating this process until you hit your first $10,000 a month, and you're able to start traveling, right? You're able to, you know, maybe quit that 9-to-5 job. You're able to spend more time with your family, spend more time with your loved ones, right? And really just choose your own working hours. Maybe it's just waking up with no alarm, right? And that's ultimately what we all are destined to be, right? Destined to have within our life, right? So I hope this video was helpful. I hope this video gives you insight on exactly how you can start making extra income just working, you know, 3 to 4 hours a day from anywhere in the world, right? If you guys are interested in a little bit more about what it looks like to work with, you know, either myself or coaches here at the Modern SDR as a private client, then also feel free to tap the link in the description down below. There should be like a free 40-minute video training that's also going to break you down a little bit more about what it looks like to actually work with us, you know, what it looks like to become a private student, private client. And then if everything is a good fit, we can of course show you exactly what it looks like to work inside our program with the 100+ hours of sales training content that we actually have. So without further ado, make sure to share this with a friend, leave a like, leave a comment. If you have any feedback, always open to that as well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. This has been Kekoa, and I will see you guys soon. Cheers.